I have found that most of what people think lead to a long, healthy life is misguided or just plain wrong. What if we could reverse engineer longevity?
This is Julie and welcome to SOFHAB. Today I'm doing a new review on the latest Netflix docuseries, Live to 100 Secrets of the Blue Zones, and joining me is Rascal Entertainment.
Hello!
This 4-episode limited series travels to different parts of the globe and interviews citizens from small towns and communities who live such different and healthy lives, near to or over 100 years old. But
before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, notification updates on SOFHAB reviews, Netflix, hacks, spoofs, videos, and more.
Yes, thank you for joining us. So, just in case you're wondering, what are the Blue Zones? Well, the Blue Zones are places where people live to 100 in great numbers with strength, vitality, and happiness, and they're located in 4 hot spots around the globe, with one even being in the United States. So they're living well and healthy. They are mobile, they are active, they look decades younger than their physical age, and they have a whole different way of dealing with the world and others, and they're very, very, very inspiring.
Yes, and even though it's only 4 episodes long, the episodes last to about over 30 minutes. They're less than an hour, but over 30 minutes, so I guess around 40. And each episode they travel to 1 to 2 places each, and each time the people tell you how they've been living, what primary foods they eat, how active do they stay, if they're working, how their communities are, and all that accumulates into them living and their routines that remain unchanged for decades or centuries.
Absolutely. But before we get a little more into this, I want to give you a disclaimer. This series, as well as this particular video, is designed to entertain and inform, not to provide medical or health advice. Always consult your doctor when it comes to your personal health or before you make any changes to your diet, exercise, or lifestyle routine.
Yes.
So I just want to get that out there. So this documentary was created based on a book called The Blue Zones, written by author and educator Dan Buttner, who has been researching the Blue Zones for decades, and it's absolutely fascinating because he explains the habits, diets, and lifestyles of Blue Zone centenarians are simple, but they have the ability to change everything. Quote, I have found that most of what people think leads to a long, healthy life is misguided or just plain wrong. He says, the fact of the matter is that most of us are leaving good years on the table. So what are these habits? Well, some of them are so simple, as he mentioned, that you absolutely wouldn't believe that these are changes you can make that aren't life-changing in terms of what you do, but life-changing in terms of how to lengthen your lifespan.
Right. And while, yes, they do state about the way they eat and physical activity, it's not the way that we've been accustomed to by going to the gym, having a routine workout, eating completely one type of food or eating water and vegetables and stuff and going extreme. And for a lot of these people, it does not require that. Yes, they still eat healthy foods and non-processed things and work out, but the way that they are living in their communities and their houses and their daily routine, they've done it so much and they're always outside that their bodies have not only adapted to it, but they strengthen their longevity, they move around more, they're mobile, they're very aware, very happy, they're very outgoing, and there is no complications with them at all.
And you can even tell when you're watching on screen, it's being recorded, they have this beautiful aura about them that radiates when you're watching, and it's absolutely incredible that you're seeing this. So why should you listen to these tips? Well, as we mentioned, Dan Buttner, the author and researcher, but he's also an explorer, educator, producer, storyteller, and public speaker.
He does it all.
And at one point, he actually did a research on Blue Zone challenges, 4 weeks plan to a longer life. He used this population of about 20,000 people, and for 4 weeks, they followed the tips that he learned from these people all over the world, and they saw their health rates improve. They saw numbers that were negative numbers drop, positive numbers go up. They felt healthy, they were more active, and they were more involved in their community environment. It was absolutely fantastic to see this. So this is one of the great things you'll get by watching this particular mini-series, I'll call it.
Right.
So we're going to start with the first one and just quickly go through all four, letting you know some quick tips that we've learned. I'm also going to make 4 different videos that will be short videos, giving you a little more details on what we learned in each one, so you can take those and apply them to your own life. Choose what works for you. Again, get your doctor's approval before making any changes to your lifestyle, diet, or health.
Right.
Some of them are so simple that your doctor's probably going to go, yeah, go ahead. And some of them you may be doing already, and if you are, let us know in the comments below.
Yes.
So the first location that they visited was Japan, Okinawa, Japan.
Yes, of course Japan is first.
And Okinawa is already famous for having a lot of centenarians. There have been lots of studies done by many people over the decades on their standard of living and how they live and the changes. Now, what was noted late in the video will tell you right at the end. But some of the things that you notice, one is that they're surrounded by all this beauty. It's absolutely a beautiful place to live, an absolutely beautiful island. And one of the first things that one of the people talked about was always having fun, not getting angry, and practicing forgiveness. And the number one thing this person mentioned is laughter.
Yeah.
And these are all things we've heard one time or another in all of our lives. And sometimes we take it seriously and sometimes we don't. I have videos on all of these things on a playlist that should be popping up right now that you can get a little more information on.
Right.
But these are just great practices to have so that you enjoy the present, where you are now. Not the past, which you can't change, and not the future that's not here yet, but just enjoying the present.
Right. And a lot of these instances also come up in the other 3 episodes, especially with the laughter one, because as you said, they had this aura about them that were just really happy and full of joy. And at a time now we're here where it's a little harder to find the joy and the laughter because of what we see around us. So one of the biggest things was to always keep that state of joy. And even if you don't change your eating habits and your workouts and things, that can be a huge part of the change in your body, is constant joy and laughter.
Now, of course, they have certain foods that they eat, certain practices that they do that I'll cover in another video, but the one that stuck out the most is called Harahachi Bu, meaning eat to your 80% full and then stop. And this is something that they're taught to practice from the time that they're children. So it's become second nature, and it's not something they even think about. So in the second segment of this series, 2 places are visited: Sardinia, Italy, and Loma Linda, California in the U.S. So for Sardinia, again, an absolutely beautiful place to look at and an absolutely beautiful place to live. And they practice some of the same things, again, having fun, laughter, interacting with their neighbors and community, and just living life to the fullest. And for here, the foods were to stand out and new things to add if you don't already eat them.
Right. And a lot of the stuff is probably some things you see in the store or certain stores, but they're a little more difficult to find. So if you want to try some of these, you may have to go to places like Whole Foods or look at your grocery to see if some of these foods are available to buy, because they actually turn out to be good.
And that was the Goya, which is not easy to find in every grocery store. And also homemaking sourdough bread. But some of the other things are available in every store, like grains and so forth. The second place we mentioned, Loma Linda, California, they study 7-day Adventists, and they have the longest lifespans of people living in the U.S. Again, having fun, not getting angry, practicing forgiveness, laughing, but their points were staying active and volunteering, they also had foods that were beneficial to them. But the one thing they attributed the most was having that one day a week where they take rest from doing everything, otherwise known as the Sabbath.
Right. And they make it absolutely clear that this is still an optional thing for you to do, but it is one of the most beneficial parts of keeping all these. They're not being forced upon, they are choosing willingly to do this, regardless of a belief system.
In the third segment, Dan visited Greece, Icaria, Greece, and Costa Rica, Nicoya, Costa Rica. And they were practicing the same things, laughter, community, and faith. And there's just so much that you actually got from Greece and Costa Rica that they definitely have to be covered in another video, and especially the foods. But it was the same thing. Laughter, forgiveness, not getting angry. And you may be tired of hearing these now, but it's really important to note that these are instrumental in living to years far beyond what life expectancy is. The last video of the fourth video in the series, they visited Singapore. And that was totally different from all the other places that were visited. It was more modern, and the government actually has gotten involved in the future of longevity.
Right. And the way they have set up a lot of their communities, housings, and apartments, not only do they encourage families to stay in one place and live together in multiple generations, they've also made apartments and houses and different buildings to accommodate people who are older, and they live on top floor of the place that are higher so they can constantly stay active and not slow down or have the need of assistance or a chair or anything. They could constantly be going up, downstairs, and getting their workouts without having to go to a gym. Although there is a basketball court where some of the older residents play willingly. So the whole point is to keep active and staying together, even with the modern appliances and the vehicles. There's not become a dependency.
Absolutely. And one of the things that was pointed out in this last segment is how the U.S. could possibly adapt some of these practices from these blue zones to make us healthier. And it was pointed out that, of course, in the United States, medicine is a business. So if there aren't sick people, there's no business. But you can always take your own initiative and be proactive in eating healthier and eating better without resorting to medications, over-the-counter medications, the different things. It's all a matter of being proactive and hoping to not have to encounter an illness and then try to treat it, but being proactive and hoping to circumvent or prevent the illness altogether.
Right.
The quick takeaways from this, without me going into the 4 videos later: making movement a habit, a positive outlook is everything, eating wisely, and connecting with others as often as possible. And the last thing I want to note in here, and you'll see when you watch it, is that even in these blue zones, some of the situations have changed. Where now, for example, in Japan, they're having people who are obese. And that is because a lot of fast food restaurants have moved into many of these blue zones that didn't have them before. One, because they want to improve the economy and make money, and because they offer them all types of benefits for allowing this food to be served there. And if they continue to do this, they may end up like the U.S. and other countries where you don't have the centenarians living as long. But what we recommend is that you watch this no matter your age, even if you're a teen or even if you are already in your 60s and 70s and older. You can learn so much from this and practice on your own. Again, be sure to get your doctor's advice for making any major changes in supplementation, lifestyle, diet, exercise.
Right.
So, if you've seen Live to 100 Secrets of the Blue Zones already, let us know what you think in the comments below. Did you enjoy it as much as we did? Did you find it as informative as we did? Let us know. And if you haven't, it's available exclusively on Netflix. And Dan Butner also has a series of books you can find in the library or on Amazon to read if you want to get more in depth into the research
Right.
and how it can benefit you.
Right.
And your last thoughts?
This is definitely something a lot of people should be watching, especially with more people here going vegan or raw vegan, and people wanting to sustain a more healthy lifestyle, and for some who also want to be more active after the aftermaths of the event that occurred in 2020, and they really wanted to be more active and going out more without putting themselves at risk. This is definitely something to keep in mind as things, advice and tips you can do at home, or if you want your other people involved or family, it's something that could be beneficial to you if you decide to take it.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for joining us today. As always, it's a joy to have you joining us.
Yes.
And thank you so much for joining us. If you'd like to see something covered on Netflix or on another streaming service, let us know in the comments below. If you haven't visited Maxwell's channel yet, always, what are you waiting for? It's fantastic. She's got specials going on special series going on every month to entertain you. Right now, she's got some for Spooktober.
Yes.
So
You're gonna love it. And be sure to like, subscribe, and notification updates on SOFHAB reviews, on Netflix, on recipes, on tax, tips, spoofs, and much more.
And don't forget to join us on Pause and Animation, where we cover any and all things animation and anime.
Yes.
Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you so much.
I'm Rascal.
I'm Julie.
Have a fantastic day.
Continue to be happy, healthy, and whole. See you next time.
That is the promise of Blue Zones.